Charles Talbot, come forward.
Curses, legends and phantoms await us as we venture to Staffordshire.
Who's that?
Hello, I'm Yvette Fielding. This week, my team will endeavour to peel back the fun facade of Britain's #1 tourist attraction to see if there's a darker side to this famous place. Welcome to Most Haunted and Alton Towers.
The fortress of Colred, the young king of Mercia, originally occupied this site. He only ruled for 7 short years until insanity overtook him, and many believed that he and the ground on which the fortress stood had been cursed. The land then passed through several owners until the 1400s, when the Earls of Shrewsbury took possession, and it eventually became their summer residence. Charles, the 15th Earl, took a great interest in the property and its grounds and began a major rebuilding scheme, and by the time of his death in 1832, he had created an outstanding example of Gothic architecture. However, the notion of the curse had continued, and the atmosphere of the towers is certainly menacing, with many varied reports of a myriad of spirits, some merely wisps of the imagination, but others threatening and forthright in their brushes with the unwary.
With such a varied history and so many ghosts, who would be mad enough to spend the night here completely on their own and in the dark? Well, that's exactly what Kieran and myself did, and this is what happened.
Here we are, Kieran and myself. We're here in the towers. A really scary place, isn't it?
Towers. It is. Yeah. Yeah. But it's just a derelict place.
If there's anybody here in this room, please can you make a noise? Deadly quiet. My camera's just not picking anything up, it's that dark. Did you hear that? It was back out there. Did you hear that? It was back out there. There's movement out here.
That was a door. I can't describe it any other way. Oh, shit. That was loud. That was really loud. And that was upstairs.
Already the oppressive atmosphere of the towers had intrigued Kieran, and I certainly wasn't in the mood to investigate the source of the noises from the upper floors. So Kieran, being a gentleman, decided that discretion was the better part of valour, and that we would have safety in numbers the following night when we returned.
On a dark, windy night in 1821, the Earl of Shrewsbury was returning to his palatial home, Alton Towers, when suddenly a haggard old woman appeared in the road. The coach abruptly stopped, narrowly missing her. The Earl demanded to know why she was there, whereupon the old woman fell to her knees begging the angry Earl for money. The Earl, outraged by having his journey prolonged, abruptly pushed her aside, whereupon the disgruntled old woman placed a curse on him. She said, "For every branch on the old oak tree that falls to the ground, a member of your family shall die." The Earl dismissed this, remounted his carriage and continued on his way. But later that night, a violent storm raged across the Earl's land, and a single branch from the old oak tree broke and fell. Later that very same night, a member of the Earl's family suddenly and mysteriously died. Now firmly believing the old woman's curse, the Earl ordered his servants to chain every branch to the tree, preventing them from falling in a vain attempt to stop any more deaths. To this day, the oak remains chained up.
While I've been at Alton Towers, I've seen ghosts, I've heard about ghosts, I've heard ghosts, and I've also felt things as if there's a ghost present. It's surprising, people think when they come to Alton Towers it's just for the rides and see the gardens, but really, if you come at night, it's a different experience.
This ride is called Hex, and it famously documents the legend of the chained oak. It is said to be the home of some particularly terrifying poltergeist activity. Objects have been known to violently hurl themselves around this whole area. And many people queuing for the ride reported seeing ghostly children playing and being attacked by stones thrown from an unseen force. The presence of a large man has been witnessed in and around the music room. His footsteps have been heard thundering along these corridors. More heavy footsteps have been heard in the banqueting hall, but these are accompanied by a dark phantom. Poltergeist activity has also been reported many times throughout the whole of the building. Visitors and staff alike complain about having small stones and objects thrown at them by a mischievous entity.
The most recent incident was last Saturday. I was working doing a ghost night in the chapel. I was quite early, so the guys who were helping me that night hadn't turned up yet. Lights hadn't come on yet because they take a few minutes to warm up. I was lighting the candles, waiting for them, and I heard footsteps. I carried on working, just looking back, seeing if there was anything there. There was nothing. Did a few more candles, and I heard the steps again. As I walked out to the chapel, I turned to the left, and there's an archway. At the top of the archway, there's a shadow. I don't know what it was.
A lady in a long black dress has been seen many times wandering the corridors of the towers. Some have witnessed the smell of strong perfume. This phantom is so vivid that one employee even approached her, believing that she was a guest, and asked her to leave, whereupon she slowly faded away.
With our previous night's experience in my mind, I asked Kieran O'Keefe his thoughts on our coming investigation.
Well, here we are, Kieran. I am so excited. This for us is a first, to actually come to Alton Towers, have the whole run of the place, spend the night. But it's really eerie, seeing all the rides just in the dark, and there's no screaming, there's no crowds, there's nothing. It's just us.
It is. We're so privileged to be allowed to be here and, like you say, have the free reign of the place. But there's such a contrast between the building where we're standing now, the actual towers, and the rest of the tourist attraction. It's really just that contrast for me is quite eerie in itself.
Now, there's a lot of stories here. There's an awful lot of activity that has been reported by people that come to go on the rides. They've been pelted with stones while they've been queuing to go on this particular ride, which is called Hex. What do you think to that?
Well, I think it's very strange. Initially, when we were coming here, I thought we're going to be dealing with phenomena that's associated with the history of the place, what was here before. But you're right, they've actually built a ride into an old castle, in essence. So even though in the past poltergeist activity was reported, we've still got remnants of it with the modern day public coming to the rides. And I find that fantastic, because I would hope that when people come here for the rides, they're not aware of the haunted part of it. The number of people that I've said to them, I'm coming to Alton Towers to investigate a haunting, they say, well, it's not haunted, is it? And that, for me, I find fascinating. The other thing about this location is the immense level of suggestion that we're dealing with. You're in a tourist attraction, so the rides we can just ignore. But because of that contrast, when you look at the towers from the outside, it's your archetypal spooky castle. And that, combined with the fact that part of the building has been converted into Hex, a ride where they put up various decorations to try and evoke the atmosphere of somewhere spooky, all of this is going to play with suggestion. It's going to play with the minds of the team this evening.
The time had come for David Wells to begin his initial contemplation of the ambience of the intimidating Alton Towers.